this is a significant amount, especially for those who can't afford a lot of clothing and who are already struggling with costs. And two, for clothes outside of school, this still saves a lot of money because it already takes care of the clothing from the weekdays. So for the weekends, that's just a couple more clothes, which is still less than what you would buy without school uniform.
Okay, that is time. Sophia?
Vidal-Mackay negates. Resolved. Schools in the United States should require students to wear school uniforms at school. My sole contention is academics. Subpoint 8. School uniforms decrease academics. Written by Adams-Rowan University wrote in 2007. Subjects were 7th and 8th grade students from a school which recently implemented this uniform policy for the 2006 and 2006 school year. Students who were not required to wear uniforms were placed in the control group. Students who were now required to wear uniforms were placed in the experimental group. It was noted that students in the control group had higher GPAs. 7.B. Here's the warrant. Written by Gentile and National Bureau of Economic Research, wrote in 2012. Uniforms can negatively affect student outcomes. The restrictiveness of uniforms induces students to become disruptive as a way to rebel against authority or increase conformity. Subpoint C. Academic achievement is the most important because jobs nowadays require education, especially now that we are entering a technological focused future.
Okay, questions from the audience? Paul?
Parents can afford the school uniforms, how they send them to the school, that's how they get an education.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
If parents can't afford the school uniform, how will students go to school and get an education?
Well, a lot of schools do like drives for students who can't afford, and they do scholarships too. And there's public schools.
Do you have any data to back that up?
And not in this one because I'm talking about academics. It's not a rebuttal.
What else?
Yeah, so you said, if I'm correct, uniforms make students rebel, decreasing their academics.
Or that's a potential reason for why students' academics will decrease because they're too focused or they're being distracted.
Okay, that is time. Next up. Whenever you're ready.
As school uniforms decrease academic achievement, midterm, school uniforms increase academic achievement. Gentile, a teacher at the University of Houston, wrote in '09 that for 5 years prior to adoption of attendance rates, they averaged 93.8 and rise to 95.6 5 years after adoption. Financial cost outweighs academic achievement because without money you can't achieve these academics. It makes it harder for families to be able to support your studies. So without this foundation of having a stable financial standing, it will negatively impact academics.
Questions from the audience, go.
Achilles.
Yeah, can you restate the data that you have for this?
Yes, so 5 years prior to adoption, attendance rates averaged 93.8% and they rose to 95.6% after adoption.
How do those attendance rates really affect a student's academics?
Without being at school, you're missing a lot of your studies, and this will impact your grades and your understanding of the content, and you're missing out on a lot of what you're learning. So by increasing these attendance rates, it's showing that more people are participating in school and getting the learning that they have to.
Okay, someone else?
Leslie?
But the policies that we cannot debate about the attendance, so how does the attendance have the can increase the GPA?
So even though, well, essentially your attendance correlates to your academics. without being there, you can't directly learn, and you're missing out on a lot of content at school. So the speed and growth in attendance shows that more students are attending school and being able to learn this content.
Okay, that is time. Next up.
Okay, answer 2. Uniforms decrease financial costs. Link term. School uniforms increase financial costs. Written by Sadek L. Reyes, Education Policy and Social Analysis, Teachers College, Columbia University, wrote in 2019. Cost of school uniforms are dominant obstacles to education opportunities for poor and local students. School uniforms perpetuate inequality, and educational equity and social justice is impacted by differentials in access and affordability of input that is often mandatory in education school uniforms. In my data, the attendance had also increased. However, it showed that the academics did not increase. There are external factors that could have affected the attendance. For example, maybe they had sports to do, but they still were caught up, and they could have a tutor to help them learn it. Schools also provide have a certain amount of times you can be absent before being told, hey, you need to come to school or else there will be consequences. So you can't miss a whole month of school and still continue in school. And therefore, attendance doesn't have a lot of correlation towards academics. Questions?
Awesome.
Abby?
So how does school uniforms cause students to attend more regularly?
No, I'm saying that that
Oh, wait,
attendance.
how don't
No, my data does say that attendance did increase. It says here, hold on, give me a second. There were, sorry. I can't find it right now, but it did say that it increased, and also that there was less student referrals, as in they were behaving improperly. But even despite that, their academics didn't increase. At least.
So how is there usually no correlation between academics and attendance?
As I said before, there could be a small correlation, but again, schools have a restrictiveness of how much days you can be absent. You could also have a tutor to help you, so at some point it is it's not completely correlated. Anybody else?
For your rebuttal to the financial cost point, I believe you had an expert say that financial cost of uniforms is a dominant obstacle to higher education in this whole system of social inequality. Does your expert have any data to back that up, that financial cost has proven to be a hard challenge for certain families to reach higher education in private schools?
There was part of a study from UNESCO written in 2015.
Okay, that is time. You're up, TT.
So I win because of probability. The likelihood of struggling from academics just because of clothing is very unlikely, while the struggle of dealing with financial costs is much more likely. Even in the con speech, they stated that experts were saying that financial cost was a dominant obstacle, and therefore this is why we should implement uniforms, because as I've stated in previous data, it has shown to help with the financial costs. Extend Alstatar, Special Project Manager at PSI in 2016. They basically state that back-to-school clothing is more expensive than uniforms, because uniforms, it eliminates this stress to buy and just has everyone wearing one outfit. and extend Ingram, a writer and author, in 2020. They state that uniforms are saving money, even in this day and age, by a lot of money, such as $80 per child. And they stated that there are these external factors as to why grades are going down. But like I said, it's very unlikely because in general, clothing, it's very unlikely that it will have a humongous impact on your grades. And they stated that it's both restrictive and you can hire a tutor if this does happen. Well, like I've been stating, money is a huge issue, and tutors, it's going to cost you more money. And also, this restrictiveness of uniforms, clothing with the uniform doesn't restrict a lot because there are still other ways you can express yourself, such as through conversations, and in the long run this is better.
Okay, that is time.
I'm in the debate because schools usually have drives and fundraisers to help students pay for their college for their school if they do have any struggles. And then you, along with the cost of paying for your school uniform, you also have to pay for clothes outside of for your everyday life. In my studies, they said that attendance did increase. However, the academics decreased, which shows that just because there's a high attendance doesn't mean that academics necessarily have to do with anything. Just because the attendance increase doesn't mean that there's correlation to somebody's attendance and academics. My TT, said that it eliminates the need to buy excess things, and it saves money. But in reality, it has shown to increase the cost, and it disrupts the environment in our school classroom because students feel that they're restricted and feel the need to rebel.